Hello, viewers. My name is Zach Hardy, and this is the first episode of probably not the weekly, but the first episode of the Hardyac Q&A, episode number one. Today, I answer personal questions and professional questions. Personal questions about myself and professional questions about my career and about wrestling. That were asked by the fans of the Ultimate Showcase Wrestling and also my Hardyacs. So, how did I get these questions? Well, first off, I was given an email. Um, we I'm sorry. After Intensity from last night, when it went off air, uh, I Kyle Reese gave out my email address, not my email address, not the Unitar's email address, but the professional email address that I have, which I'm not going to tell you here because I don't want you to send questions there. But uh, they asked to send questions there, and I went through and I put out a loose leaf. I put in a loose leaf paper, a piece of loose leaf, in my printer, and I printed out the questions. I have not seen the questions yet, so I'm going to go through them. If there are very few things that are inappropriate, there are very few things on this channel that are considered inappropriate. I mean, swearing, I swear a metric shit ton, and swearing is a giant part in my in my dictionary. And I know shit. I know so many words. I've mastered the difference between good and well. I may fuck up sometimes, but I know I've mastered the difference. Excuse me. I'm very good with grammar. I'm very good with I hate when slang and everything is used. I hate when people I hate when people say like bruh or use stupid text language. I mean, you have a full-on keyboard now. You don't have one of those Motorola razors where you have to dial the same number like 5 times to get an M. You don't have any excuse to use that kind of, short summed up language in text anymore. So don't use that as an excuse. But there are very few things that are considered inappropriate on this channel. There are some words that if you use, it will be the comment will be deleted if you use it in the comments. It will be but it usually the things that are considered inappropriate with my channel are things such as calling people gay or calling people homos or homosexuals or anything like that. That's just something it's not all right. And with this channel, it's not all right to say anything like that or make fun of anybody like that. Religion is off topic. Nobody should be complaining or respecting anybody's religion. Racial slurs are banned as well. As well as, and I'm only going to use these words as an example. So I don't mean any harm when I see these words, but the words faggot, nigger, and nigga are all banned. I don't like when people use that. It is not fair, it is not nice, it is not kind, and it will not be tolerated here. I will probably even ban you from the channel if you use that so often. I just don't know why people have the need to disrespect people or insult people nowadays. It's just bullshit, and I don't stand for that. So anyway, let's get into the first episode of the Hardyac question and answer. All right, we're going to start off with personal questions just because why not? How many people have you dated? I have dated 2 people. Their names were Lucy White and Alexa Wade. I wrote it down because I knew I was going to have so many moments here in on this whole question and answer that I was like, fuck, I can't remember. Shit. So I wrote down that. I've written down small little things about that. But I've dated 2 people. I'm obviously single now, so I think it's pretty damn obvious, what happened to those relationships or what the outcome of those relationships were. Anyway, next question. Did you lose your virginity? If you want to be technical, well, not technical, but if you want to use those terms, yes, I've lost my virginity. But I like to think of it as I didn't lose my virginity, I gave it away. My hat to you, sir. Next question. Where were you born? What day were you born? And where do you reside? I was born in Waterbury, Connecticut on February 5th, 1996, and I reside in Hartford, Connecticut currently. Any plans on moving to a different state? I always thought about moving to Rhode Island, and it's been brought up in recent past of changing where I reside when I enter the ring and they announce so. From Hartford, Connecticut, weighing in at 150 pounds, Zach Hardy, or the leader of the Hardyacs, Zach Hardy. It's been talk about changing the area from Hartford, Connecticut to Newport, Rhode Island. However, I'm still deciding whether or not I want to do that. Uh, but I think Rhode Island has been one of those places that I've wanted to move to, if not Connecticut. I mean, I like where I am. I love Connecticut. But if I had to move to some other state, I would say Rhode Island. So, and the reason being is because, there's not going to be a drought. It's, you don't really have too many, like natural disaster, chances of anything like that happening. There's no droughts. You barely ever have a tornado. It's still cold, so it's not like I'd move to a warm place where people would wear a sweater out or a coat out in the weather because it's 70 degrees. I like when it's cold. But anyway, yeah, that's the case with that. Yeah, that's pretty much that. I'll be back. I will be right back. Okay, I am back. Sorry for the interruption. I had to go clear up something. Somebody delivered me some mail, and I had to go pick it up because they went to their mailbox. I didn't get any mail today. Anyway, if I had to move to a different state, I would choose Rhode Island. Um, I wouldn't move to a warmer state. I mean, I don't like the tropical storms. I don't like the tropical weather. If I had to take a vacation, even though I don't really like taking vacations anywhere else. If I had to take a vacation from the WWE, not WWE, from USW or even WWE, I wouldn't want to go anywhere else except for Connecticut or maybe even Rhode Island, because I don't like the warm weather all the time. I mean, I can deal with it in the summer, but I just don't like it during the winter. So, yeah. When it's wintertime, I'd rather have it cold. And usually when you have winter going, you usually should have cold weather, especially New York, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont. You should have cold weather in there, and I'd rather be in the cold weather. So if I had to move to any other state, I would choose Rhode Island. I couldn't move to Rhode Island. I would probably choose. There's work being outside. I would probably choose somewhere like Wyoming, somewhere that's not very populated, because I'd want to have like an area to my own where it's not very populated or anything like that. So anyway, 5 biggest career paths / careers. I take it you mean my 5 choices for what I want to do. Um, well, when I was younger, I always wanted to be a wrestler, and I was a wrestler. Um, I started early, yeah, at the age of 12. Um, but the 5 biggest career paths, I would say, number 1 is a wrestler. I'm not going to count down. Number 1 is a wrestler. Um, Number 2 would be a musician. Number 3 would be a um, journalist or a reviewer, someone who gets paid to review a movie, or someone who gets paid to review a restaurant or something like that. That'd be great. That'd be a great choice. Number 4, probably be a YouTuber or a Twitch streamer. I've always loved doing YouTube videos, not necessarily Twitch, but YouTube videos, and I mean, I would love to do that for a career. And number 5, number 5 would probably be some kind of radio host, maybe on Sirius XM or something like that, or hell, maybe even a wrestling booker, or I don't know, owner of a wrestling company, or hell, even go on Sports Center, be a color commentator for wrestling. That'd be great. Something like that. That'd be interesting. That'd be awesome. So anyway, those are my 5 biggest career paths. Jack Daniels or Johnny Walker. I don't drink alcohol, so pink lemonade. Closest friends from USW. Machigeta is definitely one of my closest friends. And then Cannon, Western Light, and Yo-Yo Joe. That'd be pretty cool. Kyle Reese is a good friend too. There are not many people that you would think, oh, he's friends with his boss. That's weird. But yeah, my boss is cool, and he's always been there to help me out. So he's definitely a friend of mine. I would say, I mean, ever since that whole segment with me helping DHIG up and raising his hand, DHIG and I have been friends. Not like close friends, but we've been friends. Anarchy and Prophecy are good friends of mine. I've known them since WOW days, when WOW's roster was full and they didn't want anybody else. And Prophecy and Anarchy were the biggest fans for WOW, and it was awesome. I would actually hang out with them afterwards. It was pretty cool. And then when they came to USW, I was like, for them, maybe I'll join one day. And I ended up joining in March 2013. That's pretty much that. Favorite songs or favorite band? My favorite band, of course, is Nirvana. Favorite bands, I guess, would be Nirvana, Linkin Park. I know I'm going to get a lot of shit for that, but I like Linkin Park. Not their new stuff, but their old stuff, when the Hybrid Theory. I was about to say Reanimated. Hybrid Theory. Shit, I keep forgetting their albums. I always forget their albums. But I like their older stuff. In the end, I don't like the fact that it's like new wave rock where it's a lot of electronic beats and everything like that. I don't like that, but I do like their older stuff because it kind of seemed more like, I don't know. It seemed better, I guess. I like a lot of bands' older stuff, except like Nirvana. I don't really like Leech, but I do like Nevermind and In Utero, and I always forget shit. I'm losing my mind. I should have written these down. I know it starts with an I. It starts with an I. It's not In Utero. It is shit. It doesn't tell me. Hold on. Insecticide. That's what it is. I hate fuck. Yeah. I hate fuck. All right. Yeah. Insecticide is a very good album as well. I like You Know You're Right. That's my favorite song. My favorite song is You Know You're Right. But favorite bands: Nirvana, Linkin Park, Green Day, some Weezer, a little bit of Bush. I like a little bit of Stone Temple Pilots. I like a little bit of Alice in Chains. A lot of the grunge bands from the 90s, Soundgarden, very little Temple of the Dog, and of course, very little Alice in Chains. Like "Come Bite the Apple" is a pretty good song, at least in my opinion. Yeah, so I guess favorite songs, I guess "Come Bite the Apple" by Alice in Chains. Oh, Foo Fighters, that's a good one. I like a bit of Foo Fighters. "Smells Like Teen Spirit" is always a classic to me. Not a classic, but it's always a great song. Um, "You Know You're Right" is my favorite song of all time. I like a little bit of Breaking Benjamin as well, just to throw them in there or throw them in the mix. In the End, it was always a great song by Linkin Park. I always that song. Swallowed by Bush. What's my favorite Green Day song? I know my favorite Weezer song is Say It Ain't So, of course, because their top song. Green Day, my favorite song by Green Day. Shit, I always butt my own head when it comes to that. What have I been going for? Oh, just 15 minutes? All right, that's interesting. Basket Case. I don't want to be obvious in Basket Case, so I'm going to go with Brain Stew by Green Day. That's always been great. Yeah. Favorite Alice in Chains songs has got to be Come By the Apple. Favorite Foo Fighters song is either My Hero or I don't know. Let me go through the catalog. So many good Foo Fighters songs. It's not the right playlist. All right. I use Spotify. Yes. Ha 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 ha. When did I get Blink 182 in this? All right. Stacked Actors. That's the song I like from not Breaking Benjamin, from Foo Fighters. Breaking Benjamin, probably my first Breaking Benjamin theme song. I've had two. I've had my current one, which is The Diary of Jane, and I've had I Will Not Bow by Breaking Benjamin. I like I Will Not Bow by Breaking Benjamin. That's probably my favorite one. Soundgarden. It's a tie between Black Hole Sun. Going through the catalog again. Pearl Jam is another one, a good one. I like Alive, like Black. I like Jeremy. Yeah. Fell on Black Days. Fell on Black Days, Black Hole Sun. Those are the two songs that I like by Soundgarden. It's a tie between those. Yeah, but favorite song of all time is You Know You're Right by Nirvana. Anyway, moving on to the next question, because I spent so much time on bands, because I could talk about them for a while. Who is / was your idol? My wrestling idol was Jeff Hardy for a long time, until I was old enough to really realize that he was shit. Sorry, hold on. Hold on. I fucked up. Thank you very much. Here we go. So, Jeff Hardy, before he was before I really realized that he was a full-on drug addict, even though he's always been my favorite wrestler of all time, I stopped having him as my idol. And I used to like other people. Michael Cera, because he was in my favorite movie of all time, with Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Yeah, probably Kurt Cobain. Just because he was such a great musician. He had such a tortured soul, and I mean, he went on for so long with a terrible childhood and terrible memories, and after taking the coward's way out, killing himself with a shotgun under the chin. He was 27. What was it, April 5th, 2000 or 1994? I think it was April 5th, 1994. Excuse me. But ever since then, I mean, I was born February 5th, 1996. So about a year and 10 months after he had died. Um, but I really started getting into grunge rock music in 2011, 2010, and Kurt Cobain was a big idol of mine. He wasn't afraid to be himself. He wasn't afraid to write lyrics that whether they were going to be controversial or not, he didn't care. Shit. Hold on. Hold on. Apologize. I was chasing a fly around, and I think it fucking escaped. I think it escaped. I'll get it eventually. Um. Anyway, question. Yeah, Kurt Cobain. He was not afraid to be himself. He was always writing the lyrics he wanted to write down. He made sure that the songs produced by Nirvana were, you know, not, it was out of experience. It wasn't written down by another, I don't know. They didn't want to be sell. He didn't want anybody to. He didn't want to be a sellout. He didn't like the mainstream. He didn't like any of that. So he didn't want, people to write a song for him and have him and he just perform it. He wanted for Nirvana to be just fully organic, I guess. So maybe he was not afraid to be himself, and that's awesome. Um, house, apartment, condo. So it says house slash apartment slash condo. I assume they mean um, do you prefer a house, an apartment, or a condo? Um, I guess. I mean, I like having a house. It's not a big house. I mean, this is not the only room in the house. There's still an upstairs, and there's still, it's not like a one-story house, but there's still an upstairs, and there's still another room there. There's a garage. It's not a very, very big house. Um, and I guess if you wanted to include a mansion, I still wouldn't pick a mansion. If an apartment, I would like to have the freedom to do anything in that area. So if I had to choose, I would choose a condo because it'd be a smaller area. It'd be my own. I'd be able to have a space in which it would all belong to me. And it wasn't as big as a house. There weren't so many rooms or everything, and I wouldn't know what to do with some rooms because I live alone. Um, I think a condo would be the best, and I mean I'm not ready to move into a condo yet. The house was quite a bit of money, and I still have everything involved with it is still work in progress. Um, but I mean, um, everything else. I mean, I don't know. With the money I make from USW. Now, mind you, I wasn't able to get the money until 18, and I'm 19 now. So February 5th, 1996, I'll be 20. Um, but at this point in time, I've had this money for a year and almost 5 months. I always wanted it to be for it to go towards shit. I always wanted it to go towards my retirement. So that way, if I retired, I'd be able to be set. I wouldn't be, out on the streets when I'm 60, 70. So that's the case with the money that I had from wrestling. But of course, since I did not want another job, while wrestling, because wrestling was a chore in its own, I decided, you know what, I'll just take the money and I'll make a lifestyle with it. So since I had enough to buy a house or move out, which I mean, I was perfectly fine with moving out of my grandmother's house and moving into this house. I've always been wanting of a condo. I've always been perfectly fine though with moving out of my grandmother's house, and I was perfectly fine. I mean, if you saw, my other channel, Zachary Sarah, and let me tell you, I did not mature, or I was very mature. I matured fast, but I did not. I sadly did not age quickly, so I look the part of a 19-year-old, maybe an 18-year-old now. But back when I was 15 at that point in 2012, 15 maybe. I was in my grandmother's house, so that's when you saw me on that couch. Um, I was pretty much doing nothing. And that bedroom as well. That was at my grandmother's house. Actually, funny story. I decorated my bedroom in my house to look almost exactly like the one in my grandmother's house, except I've added a lot of 49ers memorabilia and everything. Um, so yeah, um, yeah. Um, let's see. I would say condo because I would have a smaller area, but it would be mine. I'd be able to do whatever I wanted with it. Whereas a house, it's larger area and you are able to do whatever you want with it. However, an apartment is a smaller area, but you weren't able to do everything with it. So an apartment I would be able to get a smaller area, but I wouldn't be able to do whatever I want with it. A house, I'd be having a bigger area, but I would be able to do whatever I want with it. A condo, I'd have a smaller area and I'd be able to do whatever I wanted with it. So I'd go with condo. Um, next up. Next up, we have another question, of course. Um, do you want a family and when? Excuse me. Um, I have no problem with having a family. I'd have no problem with getting married, with having a kid, having 2 kids. I wouldn't want 3 kids because excuse me. Let's look at it this way. 1 kid, 2 kids, 1, 2, 3. 3 is just no. I've always stuck by that theory of the gun theory that I called it. I don't know if I got it or if he escaped. I guess I have no way of knowing. Oh well. Um, pretty much. All right. I keep trying to find the fucker. I can't find him. All right. Anyway, I would have no problem with getting married. I'd have no problem with having kids. And I apologize if you're waiting for an apology for that long interruption of me not doing anything and having the camera off. I apologize. But I would have no problem with having a wife, having a kid. The only issue I would have is when I would want a wife and when I wanted a kid. If let's take 2 examples. If you said I had the choice of getting married at 20, or no, getting married at 23 and having a kid at 25, or getting married at 29 and having a kid at 31, I would choose getting married at 29 and having a kid at 31 because, not only am I younger here, or not only am I younger at 23 and 25, but I'd want to have something that was more permanent. And what I mean by that is I wouldn't want to get married when I had an apartment or when I was making minimum wage, or I had a car, or I had a beater or anything. I would want something more stable. I would want to have a house. I'd want to make sure I could take care of my child. I could take care of my wife. I'd want to make sure that I could afford, at the same time, continue to pay my bills, continue to pay for the electricity, water, rent, or not rent. It's like going to car insurance, water, heat, electricity, for utilities for a house, and be able to pay all of that and be able to be financially stable, I guess, and have something more permanent, like a house that I wouldn't, have to continue to move in and out of. A car that I could continuously pay the bills, I could pay for gas, financially stable, something more stable, and that's when I would do it. And I think 23 and 25 is not as ready as you are for marriage and having a kid as you are for 29 and 31. There's that. Um, where is Chase Clover? Um, wait for my Unitards updates episode 2 to come out later today. Well, actually, right after this thing. Celebrity crush? I don't have a celebrity crush right now. Not even on any like divas from the WWE or anything like that. Um, have I ever had any celebrity crushes? I think when I was 14 or 15, whenever Scott Pilgrim versus the World came out, which was I think it was 14 maybe. I had a huge crush on Brie Larson and Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who played Envy Adams and Ramona Flowers, uh, of course individually or um, separately or respectively. I had a crush on them, but I mean, how can you blame me? One had fucking purple hair or pink hair. Then she had blue hair, and then she had green hair, and then the other one was just gorgeous, and she was depicted as a rock star. I mean, come on, you can't blame me at that age. Anyway, that's pretty much the only celebrity crush I ever really had. I'm trying to think back to when I had a celebrity crush. Other than that, I don't think I did. So, oh well, I guess it's not a crush, but it's hmm. It's more of like if you had the choice to date her or not, I would. Um you see. Let me see. How old is she? I'm looking up how old she is right now. I'm 19. Shit, here you go. I'm 19 and she is 29. Yeah, I guess that would. Yeah. Her name is Amanda Seyfried. She starred in Ted 2. She starred in Jennifer's Body. A bunch of other movies. I think she was in Les Miserables or however you pronounce it. I've heard Les Miserables. I've heard Les Miserables. I've heard Les Miserables, or I've heard Less Miserable. I've heard all these names. I don't know how to pronounce it, but yeah, Amanda Seyfried. It's not a crush or a celebrity crush. It's more of like, well, would you date her? Yes or no? Yeah, I would. Probably the most attractive celebrity I could think of. Anyway, how was it moving away from parents? I didn't move away from my mother or my father. I moved away from my grandmother and my brother. Um, which goes into the next question. Any siblings? Yes, I have my brother, who is his name is Jacob Sarah, and my mother was just absolutely awful, and my father was never there. And it was just my grandmother and I at some point, and then my brother came along. So it was my brother, my grandmother, and and myself. And then I moved away in, I want to say, March of 2015, or I'm sorry, March of 2004. No, shit. When was I 18? I was 18 last year. March of 2015. Yeah, March of 2015. I think I moved out March 1st, 2015, because I started moving everything of mine out of my grandmother's house on February 6th, 2014. Not 15, February 6th, 2014, and I moved everything out by February 27th, 2014, and I moved into my house on March 1st, 2015. So March 1st, 2015 was my first full day of living in this house. But it was pretty easy. I mean, my grandmother could take it, my brother could take it, and now they're living there. Where would I live if not in the United States of America? Um, Probably Canada. I think the only other place I would live would be Canada. I don't think much more is different there than it is from America when you look at comparison to so many other countries. I like Canada. Provinces instead of states. Yeah, I would have to deal with the metric system, but I'd try to find a way. I'd probably, um, it'd probably be easy for me to find a way to fully um, fully commit to the metric system. Um, things would be different. Currency, some language, the weather, um, the system of measurements, or the metric system, pretty much. Um, some languages, of course, French and Canadian. I probably wouldn't be the nicest or friendliest or kindest bunch or person in the patch. Um, I wouldn't end every sentence in A. Um, yeah, if I had to pick a place in Canada, I don't know. I mean, I don't know many places in Canada. I know Winnipeg, Manitoba, Ottawa, Toronto. Um, that's pretty much it. I'm not very smart when it comes to Vancouver. Yeah, I'm not very smart when it comes to that. Um, isn't there St. Catharines as well? I watched Matthew Santoro, so I would know. Anyway, that's pretty much Canada. And I saved the best for last. Personal struggles or personal troubles, personal struggles slash personal troubles. Um, I take it they mean, have you had any personal struggles or personal troubles? And the answer, of course, has been yes. I mean, who has not had any personal troubles or personal struggles? Mine have necessarily been, during my time in USW or in WW or USW. Um, Everybody remembers back in 2010 when I was released from WOW for both reasons, contract reasons and personal struggles and personal reasons. And I've had to take time off before that, and following that and everything. The reason being, I'm not going to announce. I don't have any plans on ever announcing why. That's a reason. That's a reason for um, to just stay with me. And of course, the few other people that know about it. My boss was one that knew about it. My ex girlfriend was one that knew about it. There were very few people. So uh, yeah, I've had personal struggles and personal troubles. Another personal trouble that I had, this is not involving WOWs in my release in 2010, but I've had struggles with uh, ex-girlfriends, relationships. I know I dated Alexa Wade from, I want to say, I dated Alexa Wade from 2009 until 2010, and I dated Lucy White from 2011 until 2012. And I think I got back with Lucy from, I think, February to July of 2014. Um, but dealing with the breakups, it wasn't very hard for me because I knew, there were relationships that weren't meant to last, and if they didn't last, then it wasn't meant to be. Unless you got back together later on, which is what I ended up trying with Lucy. Didn't work, of course. But it wasn't really as hard for me as it was for most people. For me, it was just kind of like, all right, well, I think Alexa Wade. I think it was like, shit. Well, there goes that one. The first one I had. All right, woohoo. So I was kind of aggravated about it, the first breakup, and then with Lucy in the second breakup, and technically third breakup, I was pretty much fine with it because at that point I realized, oh, you know what? If it's not meant to be, then fuck it. Why care at all? Um, so yeah, it's pretty much that. That's pretty much all that I have to say about those. Personal troubles. I think a personal trouble I had, of course, was with my mother for a few years. Um, and part of the reason why I have long hair is because I was always told, I had to keep it short, I had to keep it buzz cut or anything like that. And when it started growing a little bit too big, which was just, very short, of course, I would have to get it shaved or cut. So I ended up I believe when I moved out of my grandmother's house and into my own house. Or, I'm sorry, 2013. So maybe 4 or 5 months before I moved out of my grandmother's house, I stopped cutting my hair, and then until now, I only get it trimmed, so that way it grows longer. Yeah. So uh, yeah, so that's part of the reason why I have long hair and why it'll be a very long time if you ever do see me with short hair again, or at least relatively short hair. If anything, I'll get it trimmed from like here to here, so that way it grows longer. But yeah, I mean, my goal is to be able to have it in one single ponytail, because right now I have two ponytails, one up here and one back here. Because the back of my hair, um, or the front of my hair does not reach all the way back to the back of my head. So I pull hair back up and back over here and put that in a ponytail, and then I put whatever hair is left here and put it in a ponytail here. So yeah, um, that's pretty much that. That's pretty much all I have to say about that. So anyway, we go into professional questions here, and this is about my professional career. And just fix it here. I made a borderline between that. So anyway, first question is favorite moment in my career. Um, you could argue that there have been very, very, very many um, uh, moments in my career where you can look back at it and say, "Oh, that must be your favorite." Um, let's look at all of them. First time I won the WOW World Heavyweight Championship. First time I won the WOW Extreme Championship. Uh, being inducted into the WOW Hall of Fame 2012. Um, let's see, what else is there? Of course, facing against Morbid at Called Greatness 9 for the USW title, winning the USW title for the first time, starting my Enigma character, winning a golden for hashtag of the year with hashtag Spear. Thank you, Enigma. That's how I say thank you, Enigma. Like Enigma is, a person of his own. Um, a golden award for match of the year with myself versus Morbid at Called Greatness 9. So many moments. I think just because favorite moment in my career, whenever somebody asks me that, or what I think my biggest accomplishment is, the first thing that always pops into my head is Zach Hardy versus Morbid at Called Greatness 9. That's the first thing that always pops into my head. So that's always going to be the first to me. It's kind of weird, huh? Debuting of WOW is not even in there. Excuse me. Debuting the Extreme Championship from WOW is not in there. It's kind of weird that WOW doesn't come to mind when it comes to favorite, or it does come to mind, but not as much as USW does. It's kind of weird to think about it that way, but that's the way it is. Whenever I get thought or asked my favorite accomplishment or my biggest accomplishment or my favorite moment, number one that always pops into my mind first before anything else is Zach Hardy versus Morbid at Called Greatness 9. Not the award, but the match itself. I think that's always going to be my biggest accomplishment, at least for now. Yeah. Hold on. Shit. I apologize for the continuous disruptions. I have somebody working on the house upstairs. My carpet is getting stained. I needed them to get the stain out, so I had to let them inside and tell them about it. So there you go. If you hear noise, that's the reason why. Anyway, yeah, Morbid versus Zach Hardy is always number one that comes into my head. So of course I feel as though that's the number one answer that I can give Zach Hardy versus Morbid. Um, anyway, um, most impressive moment in my career. I don't know. I'm not very impressed by myself. I mean, I don't like being, feeling impressed or anything by myself. There are people playing in the basketball hoop I have outside. Yeah. I don't know who it is this time. Anyway, most impressive moment in my career. Um, I don't know. I'm not very impressed by myself. I usually would ask somebody else, what they thought my most impressive moment in my career was. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how to answer. If I had to say by myself, I would say um, being able to lift double XL. That was a fucking hefty job. So I guess I was most impressed with myself, or well, proud of myself with that. What would I change about my career? Um, I don't know. Going to SWO. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I don't know. I don't think I would change anything about my career. If I had to change anything, maybe I would say if I had to choose anything of what I would change about my career, I would say I would have started wrestling when WOW was around, or when WOW started. So when I was 10, I would have been wrestling for WOW. Back in 2006. And at this point in time, January 2016, I would have wrestled for 10 years, decade. However, January something 2016 will be my 8-year anniversary. But I do love what I do, and it's always great for me to wrestle. And if I had to change anything, I would have said I would have started wrestling for WW in 2006. When it started. Yeah. However, that may have changed or that would have probably affected my long term thing of my career. I may end up have just been doing YouTube videos, and I probably wouldn't have been a part of USW. I may not have been a part of USW because I may have just flunked in 2006. I don't know. Yeah. Um, if I could choose not to change anything, I would say I wouldn't change anything because I like where I am now, and if I change anything, more than likely it would affect where I am now. Would I ever join SWO? I don't think they understand right now, or yet either that or they're not as big of a SWO fan as everybody else or as other people are. SWO is not SWO anymore. It's Stardom Wrestling. So a lot of people also don't realize SWO is about to go out of business. So no, I would never join SWO, and I wouldn't even think about joining SWO. So yeah. When do you plan to retire from wrestling? Well, I don't know. Um, I'll let you in on a little thing that I've been talking about for a while with myself and with friends. I'm thinking about leaving USW in 2016. But hear me out. Don't. There's no breaking news yet. I've talked to Kyle about it, and it's either between staying full time, leaving USW, possibly never to come back, or um, signing a part-time contract where I only appear for a specific amount of days or a specific amount of events. That's always been a question, or that's always been in question. And it's always been in question since Call of Greatness 10, I would say. Because I had that whole promo where it was, what, I will be in USW, I will return. It's just whether or not I'm going to sign again in 2016. My contract expires on February 5th, 2016. So it's either I sign a part-time contract for a year, but with limited appearances, a full-time contract for a year, or I just don't sign at all, or I don't re-sign and I leave USW altogether. It's always going to be between those three. And I'm kind of leading towards part-time contract because I don't want to stop wrestling. But if I do stop wrestling and I leave in 2016, um, I will probably not permanently, but I will probably retire from wrestling. Um, I know it can't be, a full retirement. I'd still have to do things for years, but excuse me. I think if I left USW in 2016, I would retire for the time being, at least until maybe I'm 24, 25, and then I would join independent circuits, or I would join, whatever. I would go to WWE tryouts or whatever. But I would do something involving wrestling at some point. I wouldn't just retire fully, but I would stay retired for a while, so that way I didn't have to go back to wrestling for a while. I mean, I haven't lost passion for it, yet, but I think if I don't by that time, I think that would be a good idea, a good way for me to keep the passion I have. Just take a break. Shit. Okay. How long have I been going for? Almost an hour. We have 3 questions left. What is your favorite entrance theme from Zach Hardy? I've entered to, I think it was first when I debuted in WOW. It was Something in Your Mouth by Nickelback, because I was an idiot. From 2008 till 2010. I had I Will Not Bow by Breaking Benjamin from, I think, 2010 until 2014. 2014, yeah. And then I had Somewhere I Belong by Linkin Park from 2014 until June 24th, 2015. I'm sorry, June 17th, 2015, when I debuted The Diary of Jane by Breaking Benjamin. I have that right now from June 17th to present. I mean, I'm not going to go with The Diary of Jane. Even though it's a great song, I'm not going to go with that because I haven't entered to it enough. So it's between Somewhere I Belong by Linkin Park, I Will Not Bow by Breaking Benjamin, or Something in Your Mouth by Nickelback. I would select I Will Not Bow by Breaking Benjamin, number 1. Number 2 would be Somewhere I Belong by Linkin Park, and I would not have a number 3 because I don't like Somewhere I Belong or Something in Your Mouth by Nickelback. So I Will Not Bow by Breaking Benjamin. Thoughts on the new Zach Hardy logo? Do you mean this? I'll let that sink in for a little while. Is this what you mean? That Zach Hardy logo? That Zach Hardy logo? Because that's actually the logo that I have right now. I'm looking at my stream and I'm watching to see if it actually appeared. I'm actually watching to see if it appeared at all. I'm probably gonna go just a little bit over an hour. But the new Zach Hardy, yep, that's the Zach Hardy logo. It appeared. All right. So yes, I don't like the Zach Hardy logo, the new Zach Hardy logo. There were other logos that I had. It was like a spray painted red Zach Hardy logo with blue, a blue background. And then there was, or before that, there was, excuse me, a black oil paint or a black oil paint with the purple ZH on it, the old ZH, with Zach Hardy. It was like oil brush or everything like that when WOW was doing oil brush logos. Pissed me off. All 3 logos are on my Twitter account at Zachary Sarah. And I personally, I don't like the new logo. I liked the old logo, but if they had to kind of change anything up, or if they had to give me a new logo, I would have had it be a little bit different. Not just like a witch type thing. Because I'll appear it back on the screen. Do you see this? Right. So now you see it. Look at the edges. They're all spiked up. The top ones are shorter than the side ones, and it looks kind of like a ninja star. It looks like it looks kind of like what you would see if it was a star exploding, but you had it really far away. It's like the stars in the middle, and then those are edges are that are just blowing away. Then you have, of course, the altered Zach Hardy symbol over here at the top here, with the Z and then the H. Then you had the word Zach Hardy in the middle, drawn up very stupid. But anyway, it's stupid. And then what the hell are those fucking red lines? I don't understand it. I know I probably never will understand it, but come on, you can do better than that. I mean, I would like it a lot more if it was altered a little bit more. Like the Zach Hardy logo was not Z. Oh, I'm sorry, Z. Oh, I'm sorry, Z H. I know that's backwards for you. I apologize. I would like it more if it wasn't altered so much. The ZH wasn't altered so much. Um, if the logo was a little bit different, it wasn't just a four-edged piece of shit. I would like it more if it weren't that. So, I don't know. Whatever. I can't really do much about it. So I guess we're all gonna have to live with it. And I say the final question here because I've talked about it in another video separate from this. And it is, do you want Dustin Raymond to leave USW? I think I talked about that in another video, and I know Chase talked about him leaving in September of 2015. But I'm going to answer plain and simple. Yes. He has a family to take care of. He has a kid on the way. He has a wife. He has a career to look forward to. He needs to go to the independent scene, be much bigger face, in the independent scene, not just USW. But I think he needs to do what's best for him, and I think leaving USW is the best thing to do because he's got a career to look forward to. He's got a son or a daughter, I'm not sure which one yet, that is on the way, and a wife as well that he needs to take care of. And he needs to have a new leash on his career so I think it'd be the best idea for him to leave. Do I want him to leave? Not really. I think he's a very valuable part of USW, but if he has to leave, or if he had to leave, and I think that would be the best choice. So if I were in his shoes, I would leave. You can do so much more than just be in USW. But yeah, USW is just like more of a more permanent wrestling promotion, not just a independent promotion. So yeah, it's dependent on him. I don't want to see him go. I think it'll be a sad day that when he leaves, but I think he'd be able to do much more in his career and in his life, outside of USW. So guys, that was all the questions we had to answer. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Remember to like, favorite, and subscribe for more. I'm Zach Hardy saying, quick plugs. Follow me on Twitter at Zachary Sarah. Also, remember to send any questions, any wrestling-related questions that you have for me to answer on this, at this point, the 4th episode of the Hardyac Wrestling Podcast. Send them to unitards@gmail.com. You see that username right there. That's how it's spelled, except with one Z at the end, one more Z at the end, or two Z's at the end. So one more Z at the end, UNITARDZZ@gmail.com. And I will answer those questions in the 4th episode of the Hardyac Wrestling Podcast. So you guys, thank you for watching. Remember to like, favorite, and subscribe for more. I'm Zach Hardy, signing off.